Hey, y'all, welcome to episode 199 of Consignment Chats. Ladies, what's happening? I'm excited. We're going to talk about something that people question often. I think they get a little scared, intimidated. It's those consignor agreements, right?
Yeah. In fact, we like the term agreements so much better because contracts is scary, right?
Yeah, that
Contract
makes it
sounds
scary.
very intimidating.
I
Although
feel like
that
I've
is
got,
what we're talking about is you may know it as a consignment contract. We're going to call it an agreement because it just sounds better. It sounds happier.
you really don't need to get a legal team involved. You really don't.
Right.
It's not necessary.
No.
It's not necessary. Hey, but before we talk about that, let's talk about what's been going on this week. What's happening in the reselling world? Hey, y'all. Welcome to Consignment Chats. This is Molly, and I'll be joined by my co hosts, Libby and Samantha.
It's Q4, but man, I'm not feeling the sales this week. Gosh, what happened?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm still on the my number of sales is still we're shipping a decent amount of stuff, but it's an $8 shirt and a $9 pair of jeans, and it's low value stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm selling less and low dollar value stuff this week. So yeah, it's a hard combo. Yeah, not loving it. But I did use that time to list like crazy that I normally spend shipping. And I just finished. There were 7 IKEA bags and 2 boxes full of vintage clothing. They are all done. I had time to finish them all this week. Yes.
Yay.
Oh gosh.
Wait a minute. I got an eBay pump on now.
Woo!
I got a
Awesome.
Yeah. And they're not usually quick sales, but they're good sales.
You sold
a lot
some.
of them. I've already sold some. Yeah,
I've
for
seen
sure.
some go through.
Well, and now that you're on Etsy, Etsy's gonna want.
Surprisingly, I've been selling vintage clothes on. I've been listing them on Etsy, but the vast majority have been selling on eBay for the past 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is shocking.
All right.
It is.
I'm going to show you one of my favorite sales since we're talking vintage and we're talking eBay.
Yes.
I sold a bulk sale of 4 items. I love it when one person buys 4 items.
Mm-hmm.
Got these at a rummage sale for $1. Look at these children's sweaters.
Oh my
These
gosh.
are handmade little pumpkin sweaters. They even have the cute, a lot of them have the cute little tags. It'll say handmade for my little slugger, stuff like that. Aren't they cute?
My gosh.
So somebody bought 4 of them, and then a couple of days later, another person bought another one. So yeah, I'm glad I picked those babies up at the rummage sale because
they're so sweet. I love them. What was I going to say? So they sold on eBay. Did you have them listed on Etsy? But they sold on eBay.
Yep, they sold on eBay.
So all of them. Do you have any? Are there any more listed for sale, or are they all gone?
Yeah, I think I listed, was it 14 of them, 12 or 14, and so I've sold 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we talk about this, I don't know if I've sold a lot of clothing on Etsy.
Huh. Well, we'll see.
I list vintage clothing there, but I guess I don't. I sold some canisters there that I'm pumped about, but
yeah,
I got them at an auction for maybe $2 a few weeks ago. I love it. They weren't even put away yet. They were still on my dining room table. They weren't listed very long, and I told my husband, I said, we need to get the canisters off the table, and he's like, I know, I'll bring them downstairs. And I said, cool, if you could package them up, I'll print a label. And he's like, they sold already.
Yeah.
And a lid was broken and they were scuffed and they weren't in great condition, but they sold for $50. So it worked for me, which was higher than a lot of the comps on eBay. They sold on Etsy. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've been loving selling on Etsy was, I don't know if you guys remember this. I bought at the auction for $1 a whole tray of vintage magnets, handmade, felt magnets that were just I was complaining going through them, but I loved everything about them. They've been selling unbelievable, $19 a pop.
How about that?
Yeah.
I love old
I've
magnets.
done well.
Oh, they're really cute and kitschy. A lot of them were homemade, weren't they?
They were all, I think they were all homemade. Yeah. Just
so
like the
cute.
felts, like, you know, like the crafty felt, like total kitschy kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
I imagine my grandmother's refrigerator when you say that. Like,
Yeah, right. And they're all like, a lot of them were like 1970s colors. Some of them were made in the 80s. Some, yeah. But oh, you know what I want to mention? We're talking a lot about Etsy. So one of the things we're doing for our Patreon members in the coming weeks is a come learn with us. We do come list with us. We're going to do a come learn with us, and we're going to do all about Etsy and share screens. And some people are going to get set up. Some people have been on the platform for a long time, still have questions. And some people are just killing it, crushing it on Etsy. So we're all going to put our minds together and do a come learn with us session. I think that'll be our first come learn with us, won't it?
Wait, yes, it's our very first come learn with us. Yes, I'm excited. I can't wait to learn more about Etsy since my cross listers just really started putting more stuff over there. So I can't wait to hear what other people do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think the reason that we thought of this was because we get questions about it. And when we share our screen with our Patreon members, I'm like, oh yeah, this is how you go to edit. And they're like, what is that you have there? Or what is this? And it's something that we're not even talking about. They just see it on my screen and they're like, oh, that's how you set up your shipping. And so that's basically just what we're going to do. We're going to pull up each other's accounts, look at things, compare things, and just have an open session of sharing our Etsy ideas and the things that we do.
Yeah, because it's so great when somebody, like, if I know one of our members is just gonna set up her Etsy. Like, how great is it if she can share her screen and like we can just walk her through getting the basics set up? So much better than saying, you know, click here, click there, here's the instructions. Like real time, do it. Yeah.
I would be amiss if I didn't say shout out to the Dawn from the Donovan collection, because I hadn't sold on Etsy in a long time, and he sat with me at Camp Listing Party last year and literally like pointed at my screen and walked me through it. And yeah, it's so much easier when you have somebody to do that. Now, every time I make a sale on Etsy, he says, "You're welcome." And so thank you, Don.
Give him a huge shout out here on the episode.
And you passed a lot of those. I reactivated my Etsy account what, about 6 months ago, 8 months ago. And so you passed a lot of Don's tips and tricks down to me, which was awesome. So he's just the gift. That Don is the gift that just keeps on giving.
Oh, okay. That's enough. His head's going to be too big.
I know, seriously.
He's still got to fit through. Yeah, he's got to fit through his door so we can get to the post office every day.
Yeah, he's got a t-shirt. What more does he need?
He's already got a t-shirt in our shop. So I think quote t-shirt. I think we are lifting him up just enough. We love you, the Don. We love you.
Yes.
So I had, and I think the video will be out by the time this video is out. If not, y'all can comment and say, where is it? But I went to Charleston this past weekend to visit my best friend outside of the reselling world. But you guys, you know, you're my best friend. This is my like longtime best friend. And of course, Nick and I had to go sourcing. I mean, you can't just go somewhere and not check out what they got, right? So we got up bright and early and went yard sailing. And on our way home, we found some goodies. But on our way back to my friend Lauren's house, we just chanced upon a church that was on the street heading her house that had a bunch of tables set out selling stuff. And what a score. What a score. We got some good things. I got a big box of Legos for $20 and just got those listed last night. But Nick found, just as we were checking out, he's like, what about this? And there was one of those Yadro boxes. And I'm like, Yadro's hit or miss. I mean, I have some in the store that have been listed for quite a while from an estate, my mom, and one from another estate. They're hit or miss, but you know, look it up. And then Nick's like, we're getting it. And it was $15. I got back to Lauren's, and that afternoon I listed it. There she is. She's a nurse holding a little thermometer in her hand. I listed it that day, and it literally sold, boom, for $160 and some change.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
Yes.
That was fun. So, when you go, I'm sure any of us real resellers, when you go, you always check out what's in the area when you go on vacation. Do we ever really just go on vacation and not check out what's in the area? I don't know. Not me.
Well, I went to Canada the other day and couldn't check out what was in the area because it was their Thanksgiving weekend. So most everything was closed for the weekend.
Oh, no.
However, we called ahead of time and made sure that my daughter, who was barely smiling all weekend, got a smile because she got her sushi.
Oh, thank goodness.
We're a sushi family, so but then I was sad because I was like, nothing is open. And I couldn't even go to the Value Village. They were closed. There was no garage sales. It was ridiculous. People were celebrating their thankfulness instead.
Wow. The nerve of them. They clearly didn't know you were coming over the border. They clearly had no clue. Oh, obviously. Well, I have to thank sushi because it's because of sushi and your family love of it that we have you, right? I mean, if it weren't for you starting off selling just so you could buy your sushi, we wouldn't have you here.
Wow. So another reason to love sushi. Oh my gosh.
Yet another reason to be a sushi addict. What can we say?
Anybody needed more of a reason, but yes.
I know. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. So yeah, are we, anybody got anything else to share before we jump into our big discussion on consignment agreements? Use that softer word, friends, softer word.
I just need a little reminder, a little pick me up that things are going to pick up. I'm just measuring it with too short of a yardstick here in the number of days. Tell me it's going to happen. Give me the reassurance, please.
You just keep doing you.
As the seasons change.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I need background music.
So does our business. And we have to adapt with the seasons. And as things change and fall, the sales will rise and the new growth will come. And I read so many inspirational fall quotes yesterday that they're all just running together.
Positive Thoughts by Samantha of C Chats.
Things have to die out in order for new growth to come. So your new growth will come, and the seeds that we sowed throughout the year will now grow. It'll be
there we go. I was talking about that on Reseller Reflections. There's plant, cultivate, and harvest.
Right?
Yes, our harvest is coming. It is.
It is coming. We've been cultivating a long time.
Cultivating the crap out of stuff. So it's gotta.
So if you hung on with us through that moment of, I don't know what that just was.
You're welcome.
If you're still here, let's talk everything consignment agreements, y'all.
Yes.
All right.
Let's bust it down. I know we've done previous episodes, but this is all new. We are freshening it up. Things have changed. Let's break it down.
Yeah. So before we break it down, let's just say every reseller needs one of these. You might think you don't. You might think we're not talking to you, but we're talking to anybody that resells anything at any time, at any place. We are talking to you because how many times have we been working with resellers and this opportunity comes up and they're not consignment ready, right? And they're scrambling to put all of this together and they don't know what to say to, a potential consignor, and they don't know how to say no or how to say yes and what their terms should be. It happens constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So please just take 5 minutes, download the free sample one from our website and have one ready.
It's so easy. And look, if you're somebody who just gets so overwhelmed, because when things overwhelm me, in the end, I know it's easy, but sometimes your brain just takes over. Yeah. Feel free to reach out. And I mean, we can do a consult with you. You can hop into our Patreon for even just a month and we'll help you put that together, because it can be overwhelming if you put that mental block in, but truly it's a 5-minute thing, y'all.
It's a 5-minute thing. And we want you to grow your reselling business and be prepared for this, prepared for an opportunity if it comes along. Because it is just heartbreaking when I see somebody that is an awesome reseller and they accidentally get into selling something for somebody and they're like, earning 10%. Like it is heartbreaking,
right?
And it happens way more than that's why we're here. That's
or
why
the
we're
opposite
here.
of that. We talked to somebody who literally walked away from a ton of money because they didn't have it together and they lose out and walked away and left all that money sitting there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and that especially as the seasons change going into fall and winter, there's not going to be the garage sales in most areas. There's not going to, Molly and I were having a conversation this morning about, church sales. There's one in her area. She better jump on it because they're done in my area. I won't see one of those until April or May. So as the seasons change and things get different for sourcing, it's great to have this resource and have things just show up at your door or from Susie down the street. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about seasons changing, I just heard you say something I have never heard you say. Molly needs to jump on that sourcing opportunity. What?
I know.
What?
Hold on a minute.
She's changed us. She's changed us all of us. And I'm even sickened a little bit to hear myself say it. Also, knowing that Nick is in the room with her and he's hearing me say this, also it's hurting me a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Just a wee bit. Yeah.
Seasons have definitely changed.
Yeah,
definitely
because I was debating on taking the weekend off, and because my living room is full of items right now from weekend after weekend sourcing.
And that is how the conversation started. I said, Molly, look at your living room. And she goes, Samantha, it's a church rummage sale. And I was like, oh my God, those are my favorite.
Right.
Okay. Well, those are pretty great.
And guess what? This church rummage sale, I don't think Shelley Ball was part of setting it up. So the prices should be good. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to head on to our last week's episode because, yeah, it's a goodie. But yeah, she's not part of setting it up. So it should be a good one. But that was my whole thing. Like all this stuff will be here for me to list. I list every day, but it's all going to end soon. And then I'm not going to have these to go to through the winter, but I will have a nice little money mountain to keep working through. And if things get tight financially, because I have a consignment agreement, I can always put a little shout out and pull some more consigners into my business because I'm ready for that. If I can't find the product, I can put a shout out and get some consigners in.
Yeah. I
or
had a
just register yourself on the Thrifty app.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can always go with Thrifty. It's Thrifty to rock a sale, to rock a sale, to rock a sale. I got to sing.
It's Thrifty.
There's another episode we can link up all about Thrifty because I know we talk about it often, but we love it.
Yep.
Yes. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. So what is the first step to setting up your consignment agreement?
Well, first you're going to go to our website and download the sample because that will give you a guideline to go by. It is free and it is something you can just go utilize to kind of get ideas. We all like to get ideas from other people. So that's number one. But what is the absolute first thing you think of?
So I think there are six just very basic things on the consignment agreement or consignment contract. It is number one, and this is probably the most important, is decide on your percentage, decide on your fees. What are you going to earn with each consignment you take in? Yes. So
no less than 50%. You need
say
to
that again.
You need to at least earn 50% for yourself. Do not take any less.
Yes, please.
Do not.
Yeah. Now, all right. So there's people that do a tiered structure. We're not going to recommend a tiered structure. It gets very complicated. So what that looks like is, and I have a lot of people that want to do this. We also have a lot of people that have done this and been like, I wish I never did this. So what that looks like is like, if your item is worth $1,000, you would get 60%. If your item is worth, $500, you would get 50%. And it just kind of like bases it on the value of the item.
A good example would be the Real. If anybody's familiar with that, they do a tiered structure like that when you send things to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reasons not to do a tiered structure. And we don't want to get too in the weeds here, but I'm just going to say, because this is an actual like real life example for me, is I have somebody that consigns, high end items with me, and also low end, like very low end, very high end. Like it's a real big mix. And she said, could you please do a different percentage on the higher end items? And my response was, I'm sorry, it's a flat percentage. And the reason it is a flat percentage, and I explained this to her, is because when I'm selling high-end items, I'm taking on the lion's share of the risk here, right? Like having that, there's authentication, there is, there's a higher fraud rate. There's a lot of things that you're taking on when you're selling these. And often they take a lot longer to research and to photograph and all of those things. So that's why I keep the flat percentage. Samantha, what's your percentage?
I earn 60%.
60%. Okay. And I earn 60% as well.
Which is a good point. I didn't start out that way. When I first started earning my side hustle sushi money, I was only earning like 30%. And over the years, I increased that. So if you're listening to this and you're like, dang it, I don't make 50% right now, you can increase it. I just give my consigners notice. I send emails to everybody, let them know that I am going to, give myself a 10% raise. I tell my husband that part. I say I am going to up the percentage to 10% for any future drop-offs. Like none of the stuff here already would be affected, and just let them know. So then it's their decision whether they want to keep bringing me stuff or not. I have never had an issue. I have never had anyone say,
how many complaints have you had?
Yeah, I've never had anyone say, oh my God, what are you doing? This last time when I upped it from 50% to 60%, I actually had multiple consigners say, it's about time. You are a miracle worker. Great job. You deserve this. Like, it was very gratifying.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, because when you think about consignment, you have to think about most of us have more than we can handle, inventory wise, consigner wise, that sort of thing. So that's not like your limiting factor is not the amount of consignments you're going to get. The only way you can make more money is to up your percentage. And all right, we have the percentages taken care of. You can add a bonus if they use it as store credit. That's why I wouldn't start with that. Like if you're just going basic and setting it up, just keep that out of the agreement. You can always add that, later. And because it's a bonus, you don't really even need it in the agreement.
Explain what that would look like, though. You're saying the bonus. Explain what that would look like for people.
Right. And this is where consignment software can come in really handy because it automatically calculates that. But you can easily do that as well. So let's say you earned let's say you have $100 on your account that I can pay you out, and we're going to get to payouts. You have $100 that I can pay you out. If you use it as store credit, it would be $110 because I give a 10% bonus if you spend it in the store. So if you purchase something from me, you'll have $110 as opposed to taking $100 payout.
There we go.
So it just encourages people to, shop with you a little bit more.
And Consign Cloud, we have a video, a real quick short video on how to set that up in Consign Cloud. And you can set it up so that it just comes out of the store portion, or it comes there's different ways to set that up with however you want to do it, but they'll automate it and make it really easy. I used it for a long time.
Yeah. And I think even if you don't use Consign Cloud, it'd still be a good video for you to understand how it works. I think either way, I think it'll be it's like a good example of how that, can work to your advantage. Yeah. The other thing you might want to do for fees is a per month fee. Like for your consigners, a lot of people do that. Sometimes there's a setup fee for an account. I don't think that needs to be in the agreement, but if you are going to do a monthly fee, any kind of monthly fee for your consigners, put it in the agreement.
And one of the benefits to that, y'all, is that helps cut the cost. If you do buy into Consign Cloud or another software, then that fee is paying for that software for you. So.
Yeah.
So there's a couple examples, like just with Consign Cloud, they have a consigner portal so that people can look and see what in their account, how much they earned, what's for sale still, like that kind of stuff. And you can add on. I know people that, do $5 a month, so they have access to the portal or things like that. Even $1 a month per consigner will cover the cost of you adding on that portal. And then they do automatic payouts or electronic payouts, and they're $1 something a payout. And I actually need to add this to mine and redo mine. But do that now that I do monthly ones, I can charge that onto the consigner account.
Oh,
deducted the $2 for your automatic monthly payouts.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. So, yeah.
So is that automated, or?
I need to look at it, but I believe that they have put in where you can add the fees in there.
Future video to come.
I was gonna say, yep. Watch for the future tutorial, folks.
It's on my to-do list. I was hoping that I wouldn't have time to do it in Q4, but it's looking like I might need to actually work on that.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing. If you want to add a monthly fee in there, and I've always done like $1 a month, and that was enough to cover the software. Maybe now it's not quite enough to cover the software because I don't have as many consigners as I had in the storefront. But a monthly fee is something you might consider because it takes time to do payouts and manage your consigners and things like that. Nothing is free.
Right.
And I also think there's a lot of consigners who love the idea that I would pay $1 or whatever just to be able to look at my account off and on and see what's been selling, how's it going, what, that kind of thing. It's exciting for them. And that $1 or $2 is nothing to be able just to have access to your inventory at any given moment.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The next thing we have is liability. And you just put a little liability clause in there. Your business assumes no liability for the loss, damage, or destruction of any item consigned. So you just alleviate yourself of that, because if there is a fire, a flood, a stolen merchandise, whatever the case may be, you don't want to be responsible for that. Not saying that, you don't treat the items as good, but things happen. I always use with my consigners, like when Hurricane Sandy came through, we had a lot of people that would consign down at the Jersey Shore, and the items they had consigned were lost. Right. And it was there was nothing that could be done about that. Consignment insurance, and this does vary by state, but there's not a state that I've heard of so far where you can buy insurance for consigned items.
No, they are not yours property. Yeah.
Right. You can have general liability insurance, all of that to cover your business, but those consigned items. So you do want just a little blurb in there about that and just explain that to people. The other one I have in here is this is number 3, imperfect merchandise. You want to explain. Oh,
She's thumbs up in.
No,
for those of you listening on podcast, sometimes you should come over to YouTube just simply to watch Libby accidentally trigger random balloons and hearts and things like that, because we just got a thumbs up because she was talking with her hands.
I'm just gonna have to tie my hands down. All right, so imperfect merchandise. What happens when something comes to you and there is a stain or a flaw that the consignor did not realize? Because that happens all the time.
We recommend that you just say in there that it will get discarded. You will,
donate it or discard it. With here's what I have in here, and this is in the sample one. Without notice to the consignor, because you don't want to be managing all of that. If you decide to manage that, that's fine. But I have it in there. You can take it out, but without notice to the consignor. So you can just do your job and do your best and not worry about not be spending time on things that are not going to make you money.
Right. And I think logically, y'all, we know that if that were like a Louis bag that came in, yes, we would end up reaching out and saying, okay, you might want to come pick this up. We can't sell it. But your everyday items that come in, you don't want to take the time to have to do that. Just put it in the clause. And the reality is they end up, your relationship you build with them, they trust you so much, they don't question it if something ends up. They know you.
And they like it. My clients like that they literally take whatever they were going to take somewhere else and they just bring it here, and I go through it. I figure out what is worth listing or what's worth donating or whatever in between. My term says any items not deemed sellable by our standards will be discarded or donated.
Now, the reason Samantha loves that is because it's sorting, and her business is sorting with Samantha. So she likes.
I do love sorting.
Yeah, and maybe that is not for you, but that is, so this imperfect merchandise also like refers to what you are willing to take on consignment. You need to know that up front. Do you have a dollar, like a hard dollar limit? Like a common one for consignment is $50 and above. I will consign items that are $50 and more in resale value. Is there only certain type of items you take? You need to lay that right out. You need to decide that up front and know what that is. So you can say to somebody, hey, that's great. Your items are wonderful, but I only do items that, fit in this niche.
Yes. Yeah. Mine specifically says I don't take larger items or that they need to be pre-approved. It actually says both. Larger items will need to be pre-approved before the drop-off appointment. We do not sell large furniture or equipment. I have had people drop off Bowflexes to me, and
but if you want to bring her a car engine, she'll probably sell it for you.
Well, maybe not a car one, but I definitely have a snowmobile engine that I'll be listing today. So shout out to my brother.
Yeah. So decide that up front, and you don't need to really put that in your contract, but you do need to know that going in, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation, but you also don't want to, if you don't normally sell car parts and you walk into like a place and you want to make a deal or you want to offer a consignment to them.
Yeah.
You don't want in there that you don't do that, because you might want to do that. You might want to do that one off. Who knows?
Molly might become a car part salesman. She didn't know.
You never know. Now I sell car parts.
All right. This one is where a lot of people this is one a lot of new consignment sellers miss, and it is so flippin' important.
Yes,
the end of the consignment period.
Yes. How many people have come to us and said, but why would you do consignment? I've had stuff here for years and it never sold, so I still have it. No, that's not how consignment should be. You should not be tethered to these things for the rest of your natural life. No.
There needs to be an end date. And I don't like things in black and white, but this is a black and white one, guys. Right. There needs to be an end date to the consignment. You can't just leave it open-ended. Well, you can, and we'll help you clean up the mess.
Right.
When you do it. But please don't.
We'll be there for you in the end.
Yeah. So when is your end date, Libby? How does that work for you?
I have a pretty aggressive end date. I have 60 days. That's not terribly common in the consignment world. Yours is?
Mine's 6 months.
Yeah.
And then we've actually recommended even shorter ones to some people that maybe sell on Whatnot or Poshmark Lives or have like a very quick turnover type reselling style that will say, okay, maybe it should be a 30 days thing. So you're just running it through a couple live sales. And if it doesn't go at that point, then that's the end of its life with you. And then, figure out what goes on after that. But to some people, certain reselling styles, even the 60 days is a bit too long. And then other people want to do, 1 year or 18 months because they are more niched and have more long tail items.
Right.
But yeah. I think the most impressive part that you taught me, Libby, that we now, I shouted at the rooftops to everybody that needs to set up an agreement. What happens after 60 days?
So after 60 days, it becomes my inventory that I sell for profit. Now, when I say that, a lot of it goes to some of the fundraisers we do. It goes to a good cause. If somebody needs something, we can offer it to them. But for the most part, it is I sell it as my inventory for profit, excluding some of the very high-end items I sell.
Correct.
That I do not run they do not become my inventory at the end of it, because I don't believe that's the right thing to do. But they're the exception. They're the exception.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love every time we bring this up when we're on somebody else's podcast or YouTube, or they shudder, like they're like, you what? Like that's got to make people irate, and it doesn't, and I think again this comes back to what we talk about all the time, building relationships. It doesn't, because Libby's consigners and Samantha's and ours, they know that we do everything in our power to sell that item in that time period. We're not leaving it and overpricing it and putting it back and hoping, oh, please let it get to the 60 days and then it's all mine. No, they see and they know that we are doing everything in our power to sell that item for them during that time period.
And one of my big motivators to move to that style. So I list things, they're there for 6 months. I run multiple sales. We, slash prices. My big motivator at the end was I have that auction group, my local auction group. I was like lotting stuff up. Like after 6 months or a year, I'm trying to clean out my basement, make room for new inventory, getting rid of stale stuff. And it is much easier for me to just say, boom, here's a box of women's clothing and get it. That could be like 15 different consigners. And I was taking that box of women's clothing and dividing it. She gets 2%, she gets 10%. That was so crazy. Now that stuff's been sitting there a year or whatever. I can just do that. Know that, okay, I made that $10. I'm cleared out. I have a new tote now that I can fill with inventory. And it's like a dual purpose.
Yeah. Now, and what you brought up just brings up something that I think anybody who's listening needs to think about when you're setting these terms, as far as what you're going to do with the items at the end and what you're going to accept and how much you're going to accept, is what is your storage situation? Libby's working in an e-basement, so she's got a lot of good storage down there. Again, shout out to Anna Packard for the e-basement term that we love so much. But she has so much space for storage that sitting on items and having those long tail items in a bucket is okay. But if you're in an apartment, then you want to flip things through quicker, and you got to really think about what you're going to accept and how long you're going to keep it and how many consigners you want even in your business. So
yeah, definitely. So, all right, at the end of the consignment period, you can pay out the consigner. So it's your choice how you want to do payouts. It kind of depends on, what the length of time is, right? Like Samantha, you said you moved to monthly payouts. I pay out at the end of the 60-day consignment period. But for some of my consigners that have rolling consignments, like they're bringing me things like every week or every other week, I just pay them out monthly. And
and that was partly why I went to monthly. Well, first of all, I used to do it and just wait for them to let them know, let me know when you want to cash out, because people would save for Christmas or they'd have certain goals, and I was becoming their savings account per se. But then it was kind of annoying because I all of a sudden was paying everybody out like the week of Thanksgiving, which was fine. I mean, I keep that money in a separate account.
Right.
But it was like all of a sudden they needed it right now. And I'm like, I wasn't going to do payouts till next week. But so it just got a lot easier. And a lot of my clients do bring stuff every week, every other week kind of thing. So it just got a lot easier to say, if you have over $25 credit in your account, you'll be paid the first week of the month. Like, that's it.
It's also wise to let them know that your savings part of yours does not pay interest. So they do better off putting that money in a bank than in with Samantha. Because
and I think we might need a whole other episode on consigner payouts, because there's so many ways to do it. Yeah, let's do an episode on that, because I think if you're going to do this and get this set up, there's so many easy ways.
Write it down,
Just
Samantha.
writing it down. There's so many. It sounds like overwhelming to do the payouts. It's super simple. But we'll walk you through that separately.
Super simple,
yeah,
especially with Consign Cloud. Use code CHATS if you would like to check them out and sign up.
I was going to say payouts are even easier if you use the Thrifty app because they pay out for you. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to pay people out.
Right. All right. Well, yeah, we'll talk. Let's talk about that as soon as we're done going through the. We have two more things: price reductions. Put something in there so that you're in charge of the pricing and price reductions. You don't want your for most consignment business models, you do not want them setting the price.
You are the expert. You are the expert.
And you want to run sales. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. For higher value items or very specific items that I may not know much about, I do ask or, take in the information that the consignor has so that I just have a ballpark idea, but I never let that become a negotiation or an expectation that this is what I'm going to sell it for. This is what they're getting. I just make it very clear that I am soaking in the information they may have about the item and what their ideas on price may be.
Gotcha.
Right.
I base everything on my research and the market value.
Yep. Blame it on the market value. That's what we always did.
Yes.
You're not pricing it. The market is pricing it.
Right.
Don't tell somebody their stuff sucks and the resale value of it sucks. You just want to say, oh, you know what? The market really isn't supporting that, sale right now. The market's the worst. Blame everything on the market.
Blame it all on the
market.
And you want to be able to run sales. Like if you have a large volume of items, you want to be able to run sales and mark it down and do whatever you want for that pricing and not have to worry about each individual item and who it belongs to. Like you're in charge. You got this.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last thing is record keeping and follow-up calls. This is just something, a blurb. You can take it out if you want, but it's just something I put in there to cut down on customer service. It is the responsibility of the consignor to maintain all records of consigned merchandise and sales, and it is the responsibility of the consignor to update address on file. So just put that back in their hands. You track it, but you're not going to want to chase somebody down.
And I just want to put this out there. The reason that is in there is from experience.
Right.
That clause got put in there because we learned the hard way. We were taking phone calls and emails and everything when we first started this business. And it took up so much of our time corresponding with them that once we got a good software in there and they had access to their account, we didn't have to manage that anymore.
Especially if they're paying for it, right? If they're paying $1 or $2 a month for it, they're a little more motivated to use it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So that's what we had. I mean, that's the basics of it. There are 6 things in there, decide on that. It should take you about 5 minutes, but if you need help, like Molly said, hop into our Consignment Chats Patreon group or free private Facebook community. And we'll help walk you through it. Now, I do want to mention a video we did because there's consigners, but there's also opportunities a lot of us have for vendors. And that can be a little different. There are much better ways to set up contracts for vendors. And we did an episode with Sarah Marshall, and she absolutely did a brilliant job of breaking that down. So if you're thinking about both and being both vendor ready and consignment ready, go watch the episode and then decide what you want to do from there. Yeah.
Sound advice. I like it. So, and we mentioned the Thrifty app is scrolling across there. If you want to get into consignment, but still don't want to get into all of this kind of agreement and that kind of thing, but you're thinking you want to dip your toe in it. And no, we do not get kickback for saying the Thrifty app here. So this is just our honest opinion. It's a great way to start because you don't have to deal with that. The contract is within the app when they sign into the app to be a consignor. The payout comes from them. Everything, all that stuff that might make you nervous, it's all taken care of.
Yeah, because one of the things we had with the pilot managers was, well, I don't have a consignment contract ready. I'm not ready. And we're like, no. Thrifty does all of that. Like, you just literally sign up and it handles everything, right? You just worry about your consigners and the items and they do the rest. Yeah. So you don't have to go through. We still recommend that you do have an idea of it's still do the agreement that we recommended. Please still do that. But
because
you don't have to worry about
it. You're going to run into when you're walking around town, and you need to have it.
Yeah.
We got your back, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, this was a very good episode, if I must say so myself. Lots of knowledge out there.
Yeah.
We're very passionate about our consignment agreements.
We do get very excited, don't we?
We do.
Gosh, we're almost nerding out with Libby here. This is kind of crazy.
Samantha might have out-nerded me today. I don't know, guys.
I don't know.
I get really excited.
Yeah. I kind of lost you for a minute there, girl. All right, ladies. Until next time.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining Libby, Molly, and Samantha, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we grow your reselling business. For all things Consignment Chats, visit us at consignmentchats.com and join our free private communities on Facebook and/or Patreon.